Take a pit stop for all things NASCAR with the Ford Tire Change podcast. Here is your host, Dawson Iserlo.
The Ford Tire Change podcast, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. We are at the first cutoff race of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Big week up ahead for NASCAR and their playoff format. Welcome back into the podcast. Dawson Iserlo with you here. Excited to be with you. Coming off of another really interesting race. Now, the racing itself, say what you will, but Denny Hamlin comes up with a win and kind of shows you that this is, once again, maybe we're getting our, maybe Denny guys are getting their hopes up once again. But he's in the mix, and he's got a shot at this thing, and he's peaking at the right time. And Joe Gibbs Racing, maybe more so than anything, is peaking at the right time. Dominant performance from Hamlin, and really the JGR team as a whole. Because you figure if it wasn't going to be Hamlin, it was going to be Chase Briscoe, who stacks another good performance on top of his win last week. So now 2 of the 4 JGR cars are already locked up into the next round of the playoffs. Obviously, we know Ty Gibbs isn't a part of the playoffs, but this is a big start for them, and they kind of needed it, right? You felt like there were times this season where the JGR team was behind a little bit. Not now, not in the playoff. Now, you figure 2 racetracks that kind of lend themselves to some similar setups in Darlington and WWT, so maybe that had something to do with it. But regardless, it's a massive win for Hamlin, and it's a massive win for JGR to now have comfortably 2 of their 3 playoff cars already moved on, and Christopher Bell in a pretty good spot. So, as far as that race is concerned, you had a few big mess-ups, right? Josh Berry just can't catch a break in these playoffs, so he's basically done outside of getting a win at Bristol, which, hey, we'll talk about Bristol in a minute, but for Berry, that's not an impossible task. He's been really good at those types of tracks. We know his short track history. But he's down there. Alex Bowman is down there as well, needing kind of, the heroics and a win at Bristol. And then you've got this interesting set of drivers near the cut line. It feels like maybe it's cut and dry, right? Maybe we know exactly what's going to happen. Because you sit there and you go, all right, Shane Van Gisbergen, 15 below the cut line, Austin Dillon, 11 below the cut line. Those are drivers that we kind of thought were going to be down there anyway. So, maybe it's easy. These are the 4 that aren't going to make it. You throw Bowman and Berry in that mix, and you go, all right, here's our 4. But then you start to think about this, okay? Austin Cindric's 11 above the cut line, by no means safe. He ran okay at the first Bristol race of the season, finished 17th. Right in front of him is Ross Chastain, plus 19. And Chastain has had a very up and down season. He's been pretty volatile. He's had a lot of good runs. He's had some bad runs. I don't want to rule out Joey Logano and even Chase Elliott here. Plus 21 for Logano, plus 28 for Elliott. Everyone above Elliott, which is Christopher Bell on up. So Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, and then, of course, the 2 drivers who have won in the playoffs being Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. Those drivers, I feel, are pretty much safe. I just don't see enough drivers falling below that. If they had a DNF and they finished last, I still think a lot would have to happen for all the drivers below them to finish with enough points to jump them, right? But as far as that line, and Elliott's kind of in that almost safe zone, but Joey Logano is not. If Logano were to wreck on lap 1 and finish dead last in this race and not receive any points, it is very conceivable for Chastain, Cindric, Dillon, Van Gisbergen all to finish with more than 21 points, right, in this race individually. What's also intriguing to me, you go back to the Food City 500, the first Bristol race of the season, and that was, if you remember, not the most intriguing race ever. Kyle Larson absolutely dominated, led like more than 400 laps, was all the way out front and won that thing. But good finishes, keep in mind. Ross Chastain was 7th in that race. Austin Dillon was 10th. So the RCR cars had some speed at Bristol the first time around. Austin Dillon was 10th. I think that's important. Josh Berry had a decent run. SVG crashed out early in that race. He finished near the bottom. But I really do think, Bristol starts to make some things interesting. It's not a typical mile and a half where it's all going to be about speed. And Josh Berry's short track history becomes a really fascinating element for me here. Now, of course, like we said, he's got to win the race. There's no way he's getting in on points. It's going to be winning you're in, losing you're out. Simple as that. I wonder if they've got something for him here, to kind of throw something at the wall. And if you end up with a really nice setup, if that 21 car's got a lot of speed, he knows how to navigate a short track. As far as the racing is concerned at Bristol, I'm hoping we get a little bit more competitive racing. I'm hoping tire wear is a bigger factor. We had that race at Bristol a couple years ago that was awesome with tire wear. It feels like they kind of lost that balance. We've seen some other tracks this year, though, where Goodyear's put out a compound that's kind of had some of that volatility that I'm looking for personally when I look for good racing. So I'm hoping we see more of that. Joey Logano, who we just talked about, is one of those drivers who, if he has a really bad day, could all of a sudden find himself in some jeopardy of not making the next round of the playoffs. He finished 24th in that first Bristol race this season. So he was not great. He struggled in that race, and I wonder if that factors in here as well. But yeah, as long as Chase Elliott doesn't have any major slip-ups, I think he's going to be fine, and we're going to kind of get a picture of what this second round is going to be like. The other driver, in addition to Berry, that needs a win is Bowman, and you figure, hey, Hendrick had the Kyle Larson machine just dominate the first race this season there. Maybe Bowman's got something for him. Just feels like, to me, that 48 team's been headed in the wrong direction. They've, of course, had some bad luck mixed in as well. But I kind of like where this cut line's at, man. I know there's some interesting spots of where this could go. I do want to give a shout-out to Bubba Wallace right now. For Bubba to be basically in, again, mathematically, there's technically a chance, but like as long as he shows up in the racetrack and doesn't have a full-blown disaster with a bunch of guys under him doing exactly what they need. Like, he's moving on, right? He's in to the next round. For Bubba Wallace to be comfortably into the round of 12, outrunning his teammate Tyler Reddick, who since they got there together at 23-11, since Reddick jumped in that 45 car, Reddick has consistently outperformed Bubba, right? Year over year in wins, in finishes, in playoff outings. That has not been the case this season. Bubba has been better than Reddick. He has won a race. Reddick has not, and he has put himself in a better situation in the playoffs. Now, they're both safely going to move on to the round of 12, like we said, unless something wild happens. But shout out to the 23 team for being right there. And then to close things out here today, I think you have to give a real championship consideration to where Chase Briscoe is at. Now, this first round of the playoffs did lend itself to some of the racetracks he's been very successful at. We know he's got a great history at Darlington, and he won there again. You go to WWT, as I said, kind of has some similarities to the setup for Darlington. Maybe that factored into that as well. But the 19 team is here, man, and he and the 11 now going into the next round, extra playoff points, 5 of them each. They've got another head start on the rest of the field. That's big for them, and I want to see if they can back it up. And you wonder here at a race like Bristol, maybe somebody jumps down and wins this race that we're not expecting, but can you stack more playoff points? That's going to be so critical. If you can grab 5 more, whoever it is right now, and head into the reset, because remember the points will reset and you'll go back to your original playoff point total for round 2. If you grab 5 more points, that could be the difference in advancing and staying home when it goes to the round of 12 to the round of 8. So keep that in mind here on Saturday night, by the way, the Saturday night Bristol race, a yearly tradition. As far as picking a winner for this thing, it's hard not to pick Kyle Larson after what he did in the first race. So I will take Larson. Feels like, again, he's a guy, he's third in the standings. He's not in any jeopardy of missing the next round. He's had the finishes he needs to. Another guy where, hey, 5 more points. Everybody know, like, in the way this format is, and we'll see, by the way, there's been some discussion. Maybe this format's going to be changing in the next few weeks. They're going to pinpoint a format for the future. But in this format, no matter how good a standing you are, you have one bad race, you put yourself in jeopardy. But if you have enough points, if you have a big enough buffer, if you're in that 30 or more playoff point range, you can pretty much afford a DNF and still go out and have a competitive chance. Whereas some of these guys that are going to start the next round on the cut line, they have that one bad finish, and they're fighting an uphill battle, and it's about winning a race. So Larson has a chance to add himself to that category. I'll take him to win on Saturday night. It should be fun. I hope the tire wear makes this race fascinating. I hope it's a good one. And we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. That'll do it for another episode for Tire Change. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. The playoffs are rolling on. Stay with us. It's going to be fun.